Hey, what's up guys? My name is Corrado Arangio and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Markos. He's a real estate broker with Right at Home Realty. We connected maybe like 3-4 years ago on Instagram, and puts out a lot of great content about news related stuff about real estate. So if you're interested in that and want to stay in touch with what's going on in the market, I highly recommend to follow him. What's your IG channel?
Markos Real Estate. Yeah.
Markos Real Estate.
Yeah. First name Markos Real Estate.
Yeah. I love your name, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Very European.
Yeah, definitely Greek origins. So.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get into some questions, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, your background, your story.
Yeah, for sure. No, first I want to say thank you for inviting me on and having me. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. Grew up in Richmond Hill.
Okay.
Pretty standard upbringing, suburban, lifestyle. Went to high school there.
Yeah.
Graduated from York University.
Okay.
Just worked like the odd retail job in school and stuff, like just to make ends meet. And then once I graduated York, decided to go get my real estate license. And just jumped in the game at that point. Yeah.
Nice. What kind of jobs did you do during high school and?
Yeah, I would just be grocery store, no frills and stuff like that. And
that was my first job.
Yeah.
I was 14.
Yeah. It's like everyone's first job, yeah. Yeah, man.
Love it,
no frills, Metro, all those random grocery stores. And then I worked at Costco for about 6 years. And actually, since then, I picked up a lot of clients from Costco because I got my real estate license while I was still there.
Yeah.
And that was.
So what would you say, what motivated you to become a real estate agent? Initially,
what I thought was a low barrier to entry, right? It's just the courses, you can get into business for yourself. It just made sense opportunity-wise.
Yeah.
So I got into it. I realized it was a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah.
But I was drawn into the low barrier to entry, I guess you can say, and the seemingly reasonable path to be successful and have your own business in the beginning. That was my first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is a blueprint to becoming a successful realtor today?
Definitely the biggest thing is consistency. So even if whether it's marketing, studying the market yourself, experience, anything along those lines, as long as you're consistent with your daily activities, I feel not just as a real estate agent, but just in business in general, I think that's the blueprint to be successful.
Yeah.
You know.
So somebody starting off as a realtor, what's the best advice for them, would you say?
This is something that I wish I did because I hadn't, and I just jumped in the game and tried to figure it out myself. I would seek a mentor or a team leader.
Yes.
Get that experience firsthand and then have them guide you through a lot of processes. I made a lot of silly mistakes that I wish I hadn't if I just had the right mentorship in place. If you can find a team lead that's reputable and you know that you're going to be able to benefit from the relationship as much as you're going to benefit them, then that would probably be, because in a lot of cases I know that's not always the case.
Yeah, you mentioned a mentor. Do you have a mentor?
I don't have a mentor per se, but there's a few people in my life that I look up to, then I just take bits and pieces. Yeah.
What's the best advice that you received or heard somebody receive throughout your lifetime? Okay, and what's the worst advice that you received and heard somebody receive throughout your lifetime? So start with the best.
So the best advice, is probably cliche, but be yourself. As long as you're always yourself, you're gonna win no matter what. So I just keep it real, in all aspects of life. And I think that resonates with people. And I see people's reaction as opposed to when you're trying to be overly professional or you're trying too hard to be something that you're not. Of course you gotta keep it professional, but you just gotta be yourself. So that's the best advice, be yourself. It sounds very simple. But I think it's just applicable in all realms of life. In terms of
worst advice.
Worst advice? Oh, that's a hard one to say, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't really. I guess doing something before. This is really general. Doing something before you're not ready. Trying to convince someone to do something before you're not ready. You have to make sure that you're ready to jump in. But there's a fine line even with that too.
Yeah. So, for me, is people saying that you can't.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But that's not, is that advice, really?
I'm just saying, somebody saying, no, you can't do this. You can't do this because of this. You know what I mean? Not really kind of advice, right? Because you're saying, why are you wasting your time?
To steer you away,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But again, you have to be careful who you take advice from.
Exactly, absolutely. No, that's a good point.
Yeah. What do you think sets you apart from all your competition in the industry?
I think one of the bigger things is that Well, I mean, a lot of the competition does this as well, but I'd like to upload videos and I like to people see my genuine nature. Yeah. Like it's content, it's full of value, like it's information. Plus they can see my demeanor and if it resonates with them, it resonates with them. If not, right? And you're not going to capture everybody.
Yes.
You're going to work with the people that, so I think what sets me apart is just me being myself on camera. And then nobody else is going to be me. And vice versa for everybody else as well. So I think that sets me apart, just being myself, but on camera.
Yeah. And your secret to sales?
Just a lot of sales experience, understanding like psychology and the way people think. That helps a lot of the time. It helps deals get across the finish line. Yeah. So I'd say.
Talk about like your biggest deal that you've done. I know like, like when I started off, I didn't focus on doing big deals. Like I'd work with a lot of clients and do volume. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a similar situation. Yeah. Like I wouldn't necessarily, like I haven't done any like super high price point. I'd say just under the $2 million mark. Yeah. But towards the higher end of volume in terms of units, we've definitely done a decent amount of units in that price point. Yeah. Nothing above that. I don't even target that sort of market necessarily.
Yeah. Eventually you will.
Of course, it's all a process, right? But right now, like the segment of the market that I'm targeting is pretty much first-time home buyers, upsizers, and young families that are starting out, for their first home. Like maybe they're coming from a condo or a townhouse product, and then they're moving up to a detached for the first time, right? So that's the segment now. But as I grow in my business, then people grow in their lives and their real estate goals, then it'll kind of, eventually some people are going to buy bigger products and then I'll be there to help them as well, right? So. Yeah.
What's the biggest risk that you've taken throughout your lifetime or like in real estate?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in general, I think getting my real estate license and getting into the business was the biggest risk in retrospect so far. Yes. Just because I didn't understand the severity of how hard it is, realistically. That's all to be honest, right? Because it's a lot harder than people think and what they see on camera and stuff. I know, yeah. So it took a while for me, and there were months and even like I could say probably about a year or so with no income, give or take, right? Like just struggling with income for a while, like on and off. So that was a risk that eventually did pay off, but it took a while to see the fruits of that.
Yeah, in the beginning, it always takes a bit of time to, get going. And, when I started off, I was doing, I had 2 jobs. Yeah. So doing my promoting thing and selling real estate at the same time.
Exactly.
Investing all my money from that into real estate, which is crazy.
That's another risk too, right?
Huge risk.
That's a huge risk.
Yeah, huge risk. Yeah. Yeah. So if you hit the lotto today and you won, let's say, $20 million, what would change tomorrow? Would you still be a realtor? Would you like do things differently? Like what would change for you?
Yes, because obviously this is an idealistic setting, right? But if I was to win the 20 million, I'd be broke again tomorrow because I would deploy those funds obviously right away.
Where would you deploy them?
Like ideally multi-units.
Here in Toronto? Or
since you're dealing with a substantial amount of capital, you can definitely play in Toronto, but I'd probably still lean towards outside of Toronto, probably smaller cities out in Southern Ontario. Yeah. At that price, at that amount of capital, I'd probably look to the United States.
Yeah. What scares me about Toronto, and this is honest truth, is that having like a multifamily and knowing like the rental rules and stuff. And all the the tenants have a lot of rights. Yeah. That's what really scares me because like it's a huge investment.
I know.
Right? Like imagine like for me like that's what I wanted to get into here, but like I prefer more commercial now.
Commercial, yeah.
Because like with commercial, the tenant doesn't pay the rent, you can get them out.
Like 16 days basically.
Yeah. Especially with interest rates being so high. Like it's risky. Right? So I don't know, the US it's a little different with certain states, right? You go to Florida, you can get them out within like 2 weeks or something.
Commercial is a good idea though. I'll probably definitely deploy at least a few million into commercials.
Yeah. What would you say is your secret to marketing and like building your brand?
I think that would come back like to consistency.
Consistency?
Yeah, just being on
putting out content.
Putting out content consistently and being able to engage. The biggest thing is, this is something I still aspire to do. I'm obviously a work in progress just like everybody else, but I try to engage my ideal client before they reach out. I try to answer questions that they haven't even asked yet. Yeah. So that I think that would be the secret, I guess, if you can say.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, like I, made a lot of videos about pre-construction. So what I would do is I would actually send that to somebody that would call me that's new. They're like, hey, I want to invest in pre-construction. Exactly. here's a link, watch this, and you'll understand a little bit more about it and how it works.
Exactly.
Just the process of getting allocations. Some buildings, like, you know, sell out right away, depending the market, depending the project, depending the location, like so many variables.
Right, and it answers, like you said, like that's a smart thing to do. You send them the video, it answers the questions before they even ask. They might have other follow-up questions or whatever, but at least it's addressing, and you can do it at scale, which is nice about social media.
Exactly, yeah. What's your best advice for somebody that wants to start investing in the GTA today? What's your best advice for them? Because it's tough, like especially your first-time investor at these prices, these interest rates. Like, what would you do?
It depends on their really their circumstances. Like that'd be on. Like if they have, if they're well capitalized, it's a different story versus someone who just has enough scrambled for one condo.
Yes.
I don't know if I would just necessarily jump into that, but generally speaking, like I would try to get into a lower price point product in an up and coming area. Like it's kind of general.
Emerging market or something.
Emerging market, yeah. Whether it's like any sort, and like even for example, like the eastern portion of downtown Toronto, there's a lot of development coming up there. A condo there, for example. It just depends on what level they're at too, right?
Yeah. What's the best financial advice that you received throughout your lifetime?
Best financial advice, don't save to save, save to invest.
Yes.
I think that's probably the best. So instead of working for money, you work for assets. So every dollar that, obviously it's not sustainable, it's not reasonable to do it, you know, to save every dollar, but you're working with the goal of building out assets that cash flow as opposed to, you know, just working to save a bunch of money and like live off the money that you saved up. Because obviously over time, inflation's gonna eat that. Yeah. And then, you're just swimming against the tide at that point, so.
Yeah, do you invest in like TFSAs or RSPs? Like,
TFSA I do have, and it's simply because it's tax-free.
Yeah.
I stay away from everything else, and then I invest into, just like mutual fund products through the TFSA account, that's all. I don't really do much on it.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice, like having all the experience that you have today, what would you tell your younger self? What's the best piece of advice you tell your younger self?
I would say don't underestimate the world because it's not as easy as you think. So if I'm speaking to myself while I'm younger, I would tell myself like, you think it's easy and it's not. So buckle down and get ready for I wasn't prepared for the impact that the world's gonna have on me coming into business and stuff, right? I would try to better adequately prepare myself for the future.
All right. So like when you were younger, let's go back to like when you were younger. Were you into sports or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I was playing like competitive soccer, reasonable level. Nice. Not like I know we were talking off camera and stuff. But nothing like what you were playing, but I was playing reasonable level here, CSL, like just rep. Yeah. Just different teams, Markham, Richmond Hill. Yeah, just Thornhill.
Yeah, I played for Richmond Hill for a bit. I think it was a season. Played for Markham, then went over to Italy. Yeah. But great experience. Did you learn anything from that you implemented to real estate?
Discipline, practice, right?
Discipline, number one.
Discipline's huge.
I always think about that.
Yeah. Discipline's huge, you know, like just even, so I was playing soccer pretty recently. Yeah. I suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon. A terrible injury, obviously if you know.
How long did that take?
It took like 2 years to like with rehab and everything. Like,
that's a bad one.
It's a bad one, and I re-ruptured it. And then so it was like a 2-year process to like just walk properly again. Yeah. I haven't played soccer since, just like even men's league and stuff like that. But I gained a bunch of weight and it was tough to like. I'm going into the gym now, obviously pretty consistently trying to fix up. But discipline is important to get back on track because it's so easy to let yourself go, and an injury just facilitates that like laziness.
So you did that playing soccer?
Yeah, like men's league. Yeah.
Oh, what did you do?
It was COVID. We sat for a bit. I gained some weight during COVID, and then I played my first game. Literally first game, first half or second half, I guess.
Indoor.
It was outdoor, but it's turf. So turf. That's what. Yeah.
I think it's the turf because I messed up my back. Like same kind of situation. Like I did a lot of training at the track, like running. So I know how to run properly, proper form, kicking a ball, whatever. Like I know how to kick a ball properly. So like. I went into it. This was maybe like 8 years ago. I went into it just like without like getting back into good shape, right? And
you could feel the difference.
I messed up my back. Yeah. I got a herniated disc.
You see,
it was 2 years of me just sitting with clients. Like I couldn't even sit down. I was in so much pain. Taking anti-inflammatories. Figured out that curcumin's actually really good for you. So it's a soft gel. The Sisu brand because I tried so many like. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. I was taking that, it took about 2 weeks for it to kind of kick in. I only realized it was really working like when I stopped taking it and I'm like, But I use that to like get back into shape.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice, man. No, it's not fun. Injuries are just, it's not good.
Yeah. So any advice for somebody that like wants to start, putting out content like yourself?
Yeah, I would
What's
just
the best
say
advice?
start, just start. Start putting it out, even if you feel like it's not the best. Don't worry. You can't be scared of people critically judging you. It doesn't matter, right? Just put it out. I would suggest getting as much information that you can take from the internet or wherever, something that's current and relevant, and condense it into an easy, digestible format through video and stuff like that, and get that message out to as many people as possible, and do that consistently every day.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Any other advice you'd like to share with the viewers before we end the podcast?
Well, yeah, just what I would suggest for any business owner, whether it's a realtor or any other aspect of business, I think what I've been following, and I know it does pay dividends for sure, I can tell you firsthand, and like I can see through others as well, is that if you focus on adding value, solving problems, and creating a positive impact, the money and success and all that stuff is going to follow, 100%. Right? Focus on those aspects, have that impact on the population, and everything will come full circle,
I love it. That's awesome.
Corrado, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks again for being on the podcast. If you made it to the end of the video, please do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.